don't worry, I'll pay you back, and forgot. Or promise to help someone with something just to be polite. What if I told you that simple sentence could be used against you in court? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the law in a way that actually makes sense. Today's video is about something that almost everyone has done but very few understand: making promises verbally. Can someone sue you for a promise made over chai? Let's dive into the fascinating world of oral agreements and social promises under Indian law and what you can do to protect yourself. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand your legal rights but also have the tools to avoid some seriously messy situations. Wait, verbal promises are legal. Let's clear up the biggest myth right away. Verbal contracts aren't valid. Wrong. Under the Indian Contract Act of 1872, a contract doesn't have to be in writing to be legally binding. What matters is there is an offer, there is an acceptance, there's consideration. That is something of value exchanged. And most importantly, intention to create legal obligations. Let me give you an example. A friend says, lend me 50,000 rupees for my business. I'll return it in 2 months. You agree and give the money. No written agreement. Can this be enforced? Yes, because there is consideration, intent and mutual agreement. In fact, the Supreme Court in Kailash Nath Associates versus DDA in 2015 clarified that oral agreements are valid and enforceable if essential terms are proven. Here is a life lesson. Don't assume casual is equal to safe. Sometimes it's the quiet handshake that makes the loudest legal noise. But what if there's no proof? Here's where it gets tricky. You just can't say, he promised me money and win. Courts look for evidence. But evidence doesn't always mean paperwork. Courts may accept witness testimony, phone recordings, if legally obtained, WhatsApp chats, emails, and even texts, bank transfers, and payment messages. In Alka Bose versus Paramatma Devi in 2009, the Supreme Court reiterated that an oral agreement can be enforced if the party's conduct supports it. Here is a pro tip. If you're entering any kind of understanding, even with friends or family, drop a message to recap what was agreed. It's informal, but it legally creates a trail. What about social promises? Now, this is where it gets emotionally complicated. Let's say someone promised to marry you or said they'll give you a part of the property someday or assured you they'd support your career. Are these enforceable? Usually not. Why? Because they lack the intent to create legal obligations. The courts distinguish between moral or social commitments and commercial or legal ones. In Balfour versus Balfour, a UK case often cited in Indian courts, the husband promises to send maintenance money, but since it was a domestic promise, it wasn't enforceable. So, if your neighbor says, I'll help you sell your car, that's not a contract unless there's a clear intention and something is exchanged in return. But watch out, social ties don't guarantee legal ties. False accusations and broken trust. This is where fear kicks in. Many of you asked, can someone falsely accuse me of breaking a promise and drag me to court? Yes, they can file a case, but no, they won't necessarily win. If there is no proof of a contractual relationship and no clear terms, courts usually dismiss this as frivolous claims. However, defending such cases will cost time, energy, and money. So, how can you protect yourself? Protective tips. Here are tips to protect yourself. Avoid casual financial commitments. Keep written records or voice notes. Confirm mutual understandings in writing. Even an email counts. Never make vague promises like I'll take care of it unless you mean it. And remember, if someone sues you based on a false claim, you can countersue for defamation or malicious prosecution. Here's a self reflection. Be intentional with your words. At the end of the day, it's not just about what's legal, it's about integrity. Ask yourself, am I saying this just to be polite? Do I really intend to follow through? Is this worth putting in writing? Because while the law looks at intention, people remember impact. Every verbal promise has the potential to create expectations, and broken expectations often lead to broken relationships or worse, legal battles. So be intentional with your words. Be mindful of what you promise, and don't underestimate the power of a seemingly small conversation. So, can they really sue you over a promise? Yes, but should they always win? Not if you know your rights. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe for more clear, real life legal explainers. We have also created a special playlist where we decode complex legal issues like inheritance, false accusations, and police encounters. The link is in the description below. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever made or received a promise that got messy? Let's talk about it. Until next time, stay smart, stay protected, and stay intentional. Take care. Bye.